Hi.
I like
So,
the fact that you lean in to say hi because we are video chatting, but the listeners can't see you lean in to say hi. But
okay.
hello and welcome to Across the Street to Wooden Park, the podcast that chronicles the life of young Veronica growing up in the kind streets of Chicago. This is episode 10.
10. Hi, I'm Veronica.
I'm Tony, and
And to,
what are we going to do today? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Today we're going to talk about mischief.
Okay. Who's she?
Um, she is a memory. She is a memory that I tucked away in my files.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like today I'm going to go ahead and tell her it's okay. It's okay. Today we can go ahead and talk.
Today's the purging day
Today
where
is the purging day, yeah.
where you can be bad and mischief can run amok and get into trouble again.
Yeah, because there's no one who's gonna say anything to her again.
Oh, that
At
sounds
least not,
awfully creepy and ominous. I don't know
at
where
least
this is
not,
going.
at least not little Veronica, aka Rani, or aka Luki.
Is this where you come clean about your torrid gang affiliations and past and all kinds of crimes and stealing
Well,
car stereos and stuff?
the thing with this is that it was never torrid, and the worst of it was basically all I ever wanted to do was go outside and play,
Hmm.
and
This was
there
the
was no.
extent of your mischievous nature. You didn't want
Well,
to
no, not
you didn't want
necessarily.
to.
There
No,
were
I
some
understand.
things, but most of them were wanting to be outside playing. But I mean,
Mhm.
every now and then I did uh, some things I feel that yeah I got in trouble for, and I deserved it.
I think that would be kind of surprising to a lot of people who know you, because I think you have kind of your image or your character is kind of like a little goody two shoes. Maybe is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
I wouldn't
Yes.
be out of line in saying that. So maybe the idea of little Ronnie getting up to trouble wouldn't cross everyone's mind immediately.
No, I was actually a pretty good kid, Tony.
I admit I could easily see that. From your two sisters, were you the most goody two shoes of them?
See, that's not even a cool term to use because it had nothing to do with goody two shoes. I listened. I listened to my parents.
Okay,
I was obedient.
okay.
But I think there was a time that I got tired of being not necessarily obedient, but I wanted to have fun.
Yeah, you're the Jan Brady of of the west side of Chicago. Um, yeah,
Well,
I could
yeah,
see
the
that.
middle child, yeah, yeah. But
And across the street was this wondrous park, wooden park, and if you felt like playing, you wanted to just go out and play.
and that's what I did.
Um,
And
for the
for
most, go ahead.
but the problem is when my mother would say no. It it,
Why would
it
she say
was
no? Why wouldn't she let you go out and play?
well because we had chores to do
Uh,
or homework to do or company was coming over,
mhm.
and we wanted to go outside because all our friends were outside.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt that it wasn't fair. I felt it wasn't fair that I couldn't go outside and play if all my friends were outside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were times that I would throw a tantrum, but that didn't necessarily get me. Um, it didn't get my mom to say, okay, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I said throw a tantrum, I literally threw a tantrum. I would stomp my
You
foot.
literally threw a tantrum.
I
What does
did.
a tantrum look like? How heavy is it? And how far can you throw it? Because that's
Okay.
what literally means.
Well, literally, when you physically do something, I would stamp my foot and start screaming and
Okay.
pounding. Does it have to apply only to objects?
You said literally, so that means like physically in the world it actually happens.
Well, it actually did happen because I would throw a tantrum.
Hmm.
But now you're trying to, you sound
That's
like
very figurative. That's actually the opposite.
Frasier. Now you sound like Frasier when he was doing one of his shows and a caller said literally and he went on to explain, well, this is what literally is. And, the caller got pissed and hung up on him. But I'm not going to hang up on you,
Now I
Tony.
have to bleep when you said a bad word. You
I did not
are
say a bad word.
that word is not super PG.
Upset. Okay, upset.
Okay. See? You
Upset.
are
Is
you
it?
are a troublemaker. You're we're gonna have to change this podcast to explicit.
No, upset.
Okay.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Upset.
Okay.
But going
So
back, see
let's
now
go,
I
yeah,
think
go back to the
I lost
situation.
my
You
train
want to
of
go
thought here.
outside. You cry and you stomp your feet and
Well, I
you
stamped one foot. I only stamped one foot, but it was always my right foot.
you're stomping foot.
Yeah, that was my stamping foot, my right foot. But of course, I always didn't get it my way, and that would like really upset me.
Hmm.
So when company would come over, I would sneak out, and oh God, it was like the worst feeling when we would see the company leave because I always say we, my sister and I, but
Oh, wait. How did you sneak out? Just through the back door
well,
or?
no. Well, when company would come over, as soon as the company would go to a living room talk with my parents or what have you, um, I would run out the front door. Well, we only had one door. I would run out the door. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there was two, but we wouldn't use the back door. I would run out the door and play in the park. And sometimes when I would see the company leaving, it's like my stomach would get so queasy because I know I would get in trouble once my mom was looking for me. And I knew she was looking for me because she would whistle like a dude whistle. I can't whistle, but it
What's a
was like
dude
that.
whistle?
A dude whistle when you go to a park and you hear somebody like, they make this loud. Well, you know what a dude whistle is.
I never heard. I didn't know it had a label, but
There is
that's a
a,
dude whistle.
well,
Okay.
it's not necessarily, well, women do it as well, but usually men, they'll do like a real loud, like whistle to call you from like, I don't
You,
know, half a block away.
human man? Or is this a bird of some kind?
And my mother would whistle really loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friends would say, uh-oh, your mom is looking for you.
Oh, Ronnie.
Yes. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. But I think one of the worst times that I got in trouble was when my mother said, this is the last warning I give you. And she just said that.
Uh-oh.
She just grabbed my hair
Uh-oh.
and she grabbed a pair of scissors and she chopped it. I mean, she chopped it. It was horrible.
How old are you?
I think I was like about 10 or 11. Are you being very dramatic?
I'm adding
Tony,
drama, but I'm not that's a
Tony,
big thing.
it was, Tony, it was a big deal. I had the most beautiful, long, dark, wavy hair.
Of course you did.
I did. And why are you so sarcastic?
No, of course I know you're being very literal, not hyperbolic. Little Ronnie with the most beautiful hair in Chicago.
And oh my God, it was,
How did you
it was a
react?
feeling. I froze. It was the weirdest feeling because when I would sneak out and she was angry, I knew what normally would happen. I would get hit,
Mm-hmm.
with whatever my mom could reach, whatever was nearby,
Mm-hmm.
But this time she didn't reach for like a broom or a belt
Or a
or a hanger
shoe.
or a
I
shoe.
would imagine a shoe, a bingo marker. That's how people would know that you got in trouble. You'd come to work to school the next
I,
day with a big dot on your head. from where the
a
bingo
blue
mark
dot
went.
or a green dot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now she grabbed a pair of scissors and with one hand she grabbed my hair, and with the other hand she had the scissors, and she just like, it was hard to cut through it because it was a lot of hair,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt her anger as she was trying to get the scissors through my hair because
Yeah.
it took work
Yeah.
because she couldn't just cut through
Because
it.
yeah, it was so luxurious and full and bouncy, deep into the Pantene Pro V everyday treatments.
I'm glad I could laugh about it now. But she was so angry. Her hand was shaking, and she was so angry. I think she was angry that, of course, I snuck out, but I think she was angry at what she was doing. And I found out, like, I want to say, we were talking maybe like 30 years ago, and she told me that her mother did that to her when she was young.
Mm.
So I guess the cycle repeated itself,
Mm.
but her situation was worse because my grandmother actually gave her a crew cut.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not funny, but she got caught with her boyfriend when she was young.
Mm-hmm.
So she told her, well, I'm going to show you, how dare you go around sneaking with a boyfriend, and make me look bad, in front of the neighbors and what have you. And she shaved her head.
Wow.
So I guess mine wasn't as bad,
Mm.
but I had this horrible chopped hair style going.
So by extension, if you ever got really mad at Julie, I guess you would take her in to get a perm or something. Every generation it gets a little less drastic.
Yeah, that probably would be the situation. My mother had this weird way of handling situations. Um, I remember going to get a new pair of shoes, and they were earth shoes.
What are
And
Earth shoes?
earth shoes
I've
were
only worn Earth shoes.
platform shoes. They
Okay.
were like the shoe. They were real cool in the 70s. Um, and it was so weird because, I mean, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Let me go
You
back.
you bought the shoes and they're
Well, I bought shoes that didn't fit. They were like a size, I would say like a whole size, way too small.
mm-hmm.
But when the salesman fitted them, I'm like, oh, they're perfect. And my mother says, they look tight on you. I said, no, they feel perfect.
They feel perfect and I'm perfect and I have perfect hair.
So then the salesman looked at me like, this is not the right shoe. But I said, they're fine. So,
Oh crap.
so I remember wearing them home. By the time I got home, I couldn't feel my toes anymore because
Uh-oh.
I was in so much pain.
Mm.
So I remember having to wear those shoes at a party in like a week later, and I told my mom they did not fit. My mother got so angry. She said, I just spent a lot of money on those shoes. So she said, you're going to wear them. And I said, but they don't fit. And I started crying. So what she did, she grabbed a knife
And cut your
and
toes off. And to this day
she
you
cut
have trouble keeping balance.
she cut the edge of the tip of the shoes. So when I would put I would put the shoes on, my toes were sticking out. She
And
made me wear she made me wear those shoes to the party.
and
I
this is
cried. I
this is where
cried.
all the
God, I cried.
memories flood back to me because this also happened to me when I was like 10 years old, and it was a hot late summer day, and I played outside with some friends, and we had like a water balloon and water gun fight, and I didn't think about my shoes I was wearing my only sneakers, and I didn't leave them to dry outside in the sun. So the next day the shoes were soaking wet, and I couldn't wear them to school. So the only other shoes I had at the time, for some reason, were a pair of dress shoes that were, I don't know if they were too small, but there's no way I wanted to wear dress shoes to school because that would look ridiculous. So I just started crying that they're too small. And at the same time, this is when we lived in the same apartment complex as your mother, my grandmother, and she saw me. I was so upset, and I don't know why. She took over the situation, but she just, I think, in two swift motions, picked up the shoes, picked up a pair of scissors that I guess she always has in her back pocket, and just cut the toes off the shoes, as if that would solve the problem. Because I would have been uncomfortable, but now my toes could wiggle and be free, and that wouldn't be so embarrassing to go to my third grade class in that manner. There was no way I would go to that. I am a generation removed from her. I have more liberties. I know what it is to be a complete American. I don't have to put up with any of that. So I walked around and I opened a closet door and I found that literal tantrum that you used to throw, and I picked up that tantrum. I was pretty strong, and I threw that tantrum around and said, "No way." And at this time, it's already 9 o'clock, and I'm missing school. So you gave in to my tantrum, maybe because you remembered the same tantrum, and you took me to Payless Shoe Source and bought me a pair of new sneakers for, I guess, $10 or so. And that was good enough for me. And I remember going to school late that day.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Coming to like 10:30, but I had new shoes.
Oh my God. So you see how the cycle repeats itself?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was, well, at least you didn't have to wear the shoes. I had to wear them to a party. But it's, you know, it just blows my mind, the things. And I'm not meaning that literal.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I would have called, I would have had to call an ambulance if you literally, your
It just
mind was
blows my
blown.
mind how certain situations were handled. Because in retrospect, looking back now, I feel my parents could have handled so many situations differently. For instance, again, another situation where I snuck out of the house to go play, and again, I hear my mother calling. She's yelling out my name. So, and I had snuck out of the house barefoot. So I'm gonna, I start to rush back home. But when I was trying to jump off one of the stumps from the park, because it was made out of tree stumps, I landed on a broken bottle. It was like the butt of the bottle, the bottom part, and it had like this real pointy, sharp glass, and my foot landed on that, and I'm like, oh my God.
And so you cut up your foot.
I cut on my foot, yeah. So then I lifted my foot. I'm like, what the heck, So then I pulled it out, and
Blood
I
is
don't know.
pouring out,
Blood is it's just gushing
gushing
out,
out.
and yeah. So I think I was terrified, but I think at the same time I was scared because my mother was calling. So then I rushed home, but I kind of had to limp because now I'm trailing blood all the way home, which is basically across the street,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking back and seeing a trail of blood, and I snuck it in the house and I went to the bathroom, and I figured I'd wash the blood off so my parents wouldn't see it. So I put my foot under the running water in the bathtub to rinse my foot,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole bathtub turned red. It was blood red. Now I'm screaming. And my parents run in the bathroom and they're like, what happened? And I said, I hurt myself. I hurt myself. And now my parents are both like terrified because they see the bathtub full of blood. And I remember my dad said, oh, what does she think we're going to do? Take her to the hospital? We're not going to take her. And my mother's like, well, we have to take her. And they're like, let's see. They clean it off with a towel. And they tried to clean it with a towel, but it was just soaking up blood. So I remember my dad saying, well, just hold your foot together and see what happens. You know, like with both hands. And so I held it together and he said, you see, it's not bleeding anymore. But when I would let go, blood would start coming out. And then now both of them said, well, just sit on the couch and hold your foot. And I had, and I still see the gash. I needed at least 8 to 10 stitches. So I sat the entire summer, because this was summer. I sat with my foot. I sat, oh God, it's so overwhelming to even think about that. I sat holding my foot every time, every day. You know, I couldn't do anything until it slowly started to heal. I mean, there were times when we had to go out and they would like wrap it in like scarves, bandanas to keep it closed. And they would put gauze and bandages. But when we would get home, they would take all that stuff and I would have to hold my foot together again. Does that make any sense?
No, you're just trying to keep the wound shut. Why didn't they take you? Because of anger or because of, I mean, economically it would have been
I
super
think they were
difficult?
angry. I think that, well, my dad was working at Zenith, so we had insurance. I mean, so I don't think it was economically because we had medical insurance. But I think they were angry that my sister and I, we were always sneaking out to go outside and play.
This is more
All
so of
that,
a case of them not handling the situation. Uh,
this is bad.
yeah,
This is
not yeah.
bad.
Well, this is
This is,
calling
this
child
is,
services time.
yes, but I remember having to hold my foot, I mean, holding it with both hands so that it could heal. And it healed and it took a long time. But to this day, it still hurts when I put pressure on it sometimes, like really, really flat.
Is that your stamping foot? Your
No,
stomping foot?
no, that's not my stomping
Okay,
foot.
so it wasn't career
So,
ending.
no, but it it baffled me to remember at how some circumstances were handled. However, a year later, my dad got a new car with an alarm system, and oh my goodness, we were playing softball, Tony. I had a cast because I had fallen off my 10-speed. So I was a pitcher because I couldn't run the bases. So my sister was batting, bases loaded, what have you. I was a pitcher. We were playing softball.
Mm-hmm.
And she lets go of the bat.
On her
Hits me in the
swing.
head.
Yeah.
On her swing, she lets go of the bat. Did I say that right? She lets go of the bat. Did I say that
You
right?
let go.
She let go of the bat. And it hit me in the head. Oh my God. What was that for?
Yeah, why did she do that? She didn't hit your hair though, right? Your hair was okay?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I had blood gushing down my face.
There goes Ronnie
So,
again, bleeding home to her whistling
so of
mother.
course, yeah. So then,
Limping
of
home.
course, yeah, I was limping because I had a cast. So when my parents saw me, of course, they freaked out again. And my father's like, "Oh, we gotta take her to the hospital." And because he just had bought this brand new car, so he's going sirens, not sirens, but the alarm's going, you know. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Last year when I cut myself, they didn't do anything, but this year, because he got a brand new car, he wants to show it off.
Yeah, you should have showed him. You should have said, I don't want to go to the hospital. I'm going to sit in the living room by the window and maybe die. Just to show you guys. Get the little revenge.
I think I got like 12 stitches on
What's
my
good for the goose, right?
So I had my head bandaged and my foot bandaged, you know.
Mm.
It was an
At any
incredible
point,
summer.
did a lady come to visit your home and interview you and your parents, or at the hospital, did
Well,
they talk to you in private?
no, you know what, Tony? They weren't
Wink if you need
abusive.
help.
They weren't abusive. They, you know.
Borderline abusive. I mean, how, if I'm going to say, if I cut myself badly and you refuse to give me medical attention, I'm going to call that abusive.
Well, you know, back then, Tony, there was no such thing as abusive, and you didn't threaten your parents with, "Oh, I'm gonna call DCFS," you know.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is, and God forbid you said anything to anybody because you get hit worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I missed that episode of the Brady Bunch. I must have missed that one.
it 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 was these were some serious growing pains, you know, but
I don't think you can count that as growing pains. Like
well,
growing
what would you call
traumatic experiences. I think that's the phrase.
gosh, you know, well, time heals, you know, because now I laugh about it, you know. What
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. I know we put it all out there, and everyone. Maybe some people are laughing. Maybe some people are mortified. Maybe some people are going to reach out to you now and see if you need help. Maybe we can get a foot doctor to take a look at
What?
it.
No, you know what, Tony? It's fine. It's fine. You know, it's fine.
And that's the episode title right there. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all good, right? I'm fine. You know, we were young, so when you're young, you heal well. You heal. You know, what do they say? You're young, so when you're kids, you just get up and keep going. It's like I always tell Julie, just shake it off,
Yeah,
and you're
just
fine.
shake it off.
Didn't I tell you
Just
that too? When
just
you fell off the monkey bar?
pop that arm right back in its socket. Shake it
Didn't that
off. Rub
happen
a
to
little
you
dirt
too?
on it. Yeah.
When you fell off the monkey bar?
Yeah, broke my arm. He told me shake it off. 12 hours later, I'm in the emergency room getting healed.
Well, I asked you, can you move your fingers? Can you wiggle your fingers? And you did.
Yeah, that
So
means I'm fine.
it didn't seem swollen, and you didn't say anything.
I had a hard time talking with the tears running down my face.
Just so dramatic. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. I think that episode was about being mischievous, but I think that was more about um, bumps and bruises, right?
Yes, some bumps and bruises, and it was all good. It was all good, right?
Yeah, it's all good. We're fine.
We're fine.
Thanks for everyone for if you stuck around through the end of this episode. We truly appreciate you listening. Please visit the show. Go to the website across the street to woodenpark.com. Search in iTunes for Wooden Park. You'll find the show. You'll find all the old episodes. You can play them all. You can subscribe and you never miss an episode. Tell your friends about it. Tell your parents about it. I'm sure they've had a similar experiences. Say goodbye for now, Mom.
Goodbye. See you next time.